Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Lori. I wanted to do something lighthearted today, and I was watching this video by Jenna Marbles, who's like a brilliant, famous YouTuber that you guys probably already know of. And she just did this video about things that she thought when she was a kid. I have a very uncanny memory of my childhood, and I can still remember things from when I was like 3 or 4 years old. When I was little, I always thought that cemeteries were really weird because you'd pass them and it's like, what is that? You know, I didn't know what was going on there. And I remember asking my mom one day what it was. And she says to me, oh, that's just where you go when you die. And I thought, okay, that's cool. And like for the next year or something, I thought that cemeteries were heaven, like literally heaven. When I was a kid, I thought that having braces, breaking your leg and being on crutches, and basically any of those things that got you like mad attention at school was the coolest thing ever. I really wanted ugly ass braces. I wanted braces where you had to wear those like colorful rubber bands all on your teeth and stuff because I just thought it was so cool. When I was little, I used to have a lot of nightmares. Actually, I still dream a lot and I still have a lot of nightmares, but I used to have really scary, like weird recurring dreams and then always involve monsters and stuff like that. And it got to the point where I was just terrified of going to sleep. So for some reason, I thought that when I fell asleep and had a dream that it would be projected onto the ceiling and that everyone else could see what I was dreaming. So I remember telling my mom, please tonight, Mom, can you just watch the ceiling, and when you see my dreams playing on the ceiling and you notice something scary, just wake me up right away. I also did not like to eat vegetables when I was a kid. And my grandma had the very clever idea of telling me that if I didn't eat vegetables, I would grow like pox or marks all over my face. And of course I was like, Grandma, I don't believe that. I'm too smart for that. I know that doesn't happen. Then one day at like dinner, it must have been Thanksgiving because there was a lot of people around, when suddenly my grandmother walks into the room and she's got a face full of black marks. And I'm just like, it's like, oh my God, what happened to you? And she's like, I didn't eat my vegetables just to show you what happens when you don't listen to us and you don't eat your vegetables. I told you this was gonna happen. And I remembered that, the sight of her face, it was just kind of seared into my mind for the next several years, until one day, like years later, when I was like in 3rd or 4th grade, and I asked my grandma, like, wait, what did happen to you that day? Because obviously I know it wasn't because you didn't eat your vegetables. And she's like, oh duh, it was eyeliner. So yeah, I didn't really exactly figure that one out. Some of the first memories I have were like kind of weird, confusing things that I only realized in retrospect were because I grew up in a household where we spoke Chinese at home and I spoke English at school and outside with my friends. So one of the first things that confused me when I was a kid was what to call people. Like, I was always acutely aware that I was Chinese, and I thought that I was called a Chinese person because I spoke Chinese, and therefore anyone who spoke English at home was called English. So I called all the other kids at school English people, and I thought I was a Chinese person. Also, because of the language barrier, there were these other like disconnects that I had. Because I spoke Chinese, but baby Chinese, and if you guys are familiar with the language at all, you know that there's some words that sound a lot like other words, and when they're written you can tell the difference, and also when they're spoken in a sentence you can tell what the person means, but they'll sound exactly like something that means something totally different. And I used to beg my parents not to go to work, and I would say like, oh please, you know, don't go in the morning and stuff like that. Can't somebody else go to work? And my mom would say, no, we have to go to work because who's gonna make the money? And in Chinese, making money is 赚钱, and 赚, the word like that's used for earn, I guess, sounds like turn. So I just like thought about it all day, and I realized, like, you know what, I have this brilliant idea. I know how to turn money without my parents having to leave the house and leave me at home all day. And I taped coins to a record and like showed them that they could spin it around the record player, like, see, look, now you can make money without going to work. There was another Chinese phrase that I mixed up for developing film, because I used to always ask my parents if I could take pictures, but back then, for all you youngins who grew up with digital photography, we had to pay money to get those things developed, and it was expensive. So my mom would always be like, no, you can't mess around with the camera, don't touch it because it's really expensive to develop the film. And the phrase for developing film in Chinese is 洗照片, and 洗 sounds like wash. So naturally I took the film and I brought it to the bathroom and scrubbed it with soap. That did not go over very well. When I was a little older, like maybe when I was 10, I became obsessed with this idea that I was going to be the first female Asian American president of the United States. Actually, this might have been when I was a little older, maybe like 12 or 13. And I remember I used to go around saying that, and anytime a teacher talked to me, I'd be like, well, I'm going to be the first female Asian American president of the US, and what? I'm not rolling my eyes at that now because I think that's corny. I just think it was a little naive. And some teachers thought so too. And one teacher said to me, he laughed and said, haha, that would never happen in my lifetime. As a consequence of that, I became convinced that my teacher was probably right and I never was gonna see a minority or a woman take office in my lifetime. But then I was only 20 something when we elected Barack Obama, so there you have it. Teacher, you were wrong. Wherever you are out there, I was right and you were wrong. Also, when I was a kid, my mom used to tell me, because I used to have to stay home, both my parents worked, and I used to have to stay home with a babysitter. And she would always tell me, don't misbehave because I can see you when you misbehave. And I remember even asking her, how do you see me? Like, how is it possible that you can see me? And she's like, oh, trust me, I have a TV at work and I see everything that you do in the house. And I was just like, whoa, this is crazy. And I remembered it, I believed her. And I remember I was always searching for this TV. Every time she brought me to her office, I would try to like slip away and like look under desks and stuff like that to try to find the TV, like this amazing TV that had a vision into my house, and I never did until, you know, someone stopped me at one point and asked me what I was looking for, and I was like, oh, the TV that my mom can see me through, and they laughed. So I didn't know what earthquakes were, because I grew up in New York and we didn't talk about earthquakes in New York. But there was a couple years where my parents moved us out to California, and while I was in San Jose, I experienced my first earthquake, and I was watching Sesame Street, and all of a sudden the house starts shaking like crazy, and I look up and I see my father like leaning against the door frame or the wall with his hand up, and for some reason thought he was shaking the house. I thought my father was strong enough to shake the house. I even said, Dad, stop shaking the house, I'm watching TV. My thoughts were just a blur in that moment, but I definitely had no idea what was going on and definitely thought it was my dad's fault. Similarly, I thought my uncle was strong enough to move houses. I remember like my cousins moved and my mom was trying to explain to me that they're moving their house, and I was like, moving their house? And I swear for the longest I just thought my uncle literally picked up their house and moved it somewhere else. So apparently when I was little I thought men had superhuman strength. And then there was the whole fact that when I was a kid, I kind of thought the world revolved around me, and I still remember very clearly the day that I learned that wasn't the case. It was just a random night, and my parents had friends over like always, and their friends had kids, and like all the kids were playing together in the living room, and all the adults were like talking in the kitchen, and then they brought out a birthday cake and started singing happy birthday, and I just thought, I mean really in my head, I was just like, oh, it's not even my birthday, it's like kind of my half birthday, and they're singing happy birthday for me. Like my parents must love me so much because they're celebrating my 4.5 birthday or whatever birthday it was. I think it was 4.5. And I kind of rushed over to the kitchen really excited to accept my birthday cake and be the birthday girl, because birthdays were my favorite thing ever. And I realized that it wasn't my cake, it was this other chick's birthday, and I totally embarrassingly thought it was about me when it was about her. Anyway, I think it's really cool when people can remember stuff that they thought when they were kids, because if you really think about it, we had really purely logical minds. I mean, we didn't get stuff because a lot of stuff in general doesn't really make that much sense. There's probably like 100 other stories of crazy things that I thought as a kid. I'm sure you guys have them too. If you can remember any of them, let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog, and I will see you soon. I'm gonna try to do these vlogs like more than once a week, but I'm trying to see what kind of rhythm I can get into with balancing between work and the gym and everything. So I'll let you guys know about that, but I will see you later. Bye.